So I made a little song. If you can't hear me, I'm sorry. It's loud out here. But, okay. What time is it, by the way? How much time do I have?
You got 10 minutes.
Great, it's perfect. Okay.
Vince is right.
Okay. So I was in the grocery store the other day. New seasons. And I went up to the cashier. And she was like, "How's your day going, sir?" And I was like, smiling ear to ear, and I was like, "It's going really well." And she was like, "You must be a teacher." And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Where do you teach?" And I was like, "There's this place over on Killingsworth and Interstate. Heard of a little school over there?" And she was like, "No." "What's it called?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna tell you." And it was like, Trillium, Trillium, Trillium. And she was like, "I've never heard of that before." And I was like, "Most people haven't." And she was like, "What's it all about?" And I was like, "I'm gonna tell you. T is for the tasty treats, cooked up in the downstairs kitchen. They're local, they're fresh, they're oh so delish, they blow out the competition. R is for restorative justice. Hey, what is that? It's fostering connections and making conversation, seeing value in a chat. I is for internship. If you're a junior, you gotta have one. You gotta get off your phones and get out of the building. See that work can really be fun. L is for the leadership. You see when you look around, students making decisions and making things happen. Their ambition knows no bounds. Trillium, Trillium, Trillium. There are two L's in the word trillium, and the second's for the lower school. From pre-K to 5th grade, it's full of teachers making love and compassion cool. I, well, that is for inclusion. Think you're different? Come on down. It's not your gender, your color, or your abilities, but what's in your heart that really counts. Trillium, Trillium, Trillium. That's easy, that's the upper school. 6th grade through high school grad. We're talking clubs, school meetings, and senior projects. How can one school be so rad? M is for the NPR, the good old multi-purpose room. It's for lunch, it's for games, it's for bags of circles. Just make sure you bring a broom. Trillium. I jumped down off the cashier stand at New Season. And I was like, you wanted to know what Trillium was all about. And I just told you. And she was like, sir, there are 9 people lined up behind you. Your school sounds great and all, but I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Sir, please leave.
Welcome, family, friends, to Trillium's final graduation ceremony. We're so happy to have all of you here to celebrate with us. This class was my first at Trillium, and these students you're about to meet mean the world to me, to all of us. They are the loudest group, the most passionate group, the most likely to piss you off and make you adore them simultaneously. But before we bring them up and send them off to the world, we have a few things to share. But first, we'll bring them into the room. So, seniors, I invite you to come take your seats in the front of the auditorium. Great job, guys. Okay, so for those of you who do not know me, my name is Laurel, and I'm the senior cohort teacher, so these are my babies. The first thing we are going to share with you is actually a story about cake. So in years past, our former chef would bake us a stunning guava cake for graduation. In keeping with the homemade, full of love idea, we decided we would make the cake ourselves. Well, it was raw on the inside and crunchy on the outside. The buttercream separated back into butter and cream. We threw all the decorations on it and cut the thing in half. Elijah and Ish, 2 of our seniors, stayed after school for 4 hours yesterday, unasked, to make their own graduation cake and then watch as it bombed. We did multiple sinks worth of dishes with no hot water. We spent $50 on butter. Annalie declared it the ugliest cake she had ever seen. And by the end of it, we were all laughing and taking photos and packing up cake to take home. We're used to things not going according to plan at Trillium. The students will happily tell you about the field trips where we go the wrong way on the Macs, or the internet dying precisely when everyone needs it most, which is every day at a school. Trillium teaches all of us to be flexible, to find humor in stress, and to appreciate the people around us. We went and bought a cake and walked out of the store before noticing its icing read, "Congratulations, seniors." Congratulations, singular. We decided not to fix it because it's a fitting end of our cake saga, and because there is something unifying in offering one congratulation from us all to you all, and unity is what Trillium does best. Finally, a quick note about the MC for the evening. It is not me. Historically, we choose one person to MC graduation, as people do for events. But as this is our last year and last graduation, we wanted to honor the whole of our school. One of the things that makes Trillium so beautiful is our weird warehouse of pre-Ks through 12th graders. So each introduction from here on out will be emceed by a different member of the Trillium community. And now I present to you, nope, I don't. Our executive director is next on your program. She was unable to attend today. So we are moving forward to the next thing on the list.
Hey y'all, I'm the next thing on the list. My name's Tova Underwood, and I've been going to Trillium for 3 years. And if you've ever talked to a Trillium student for more than 5 minutes about their school, you've probably noticed we have a lot of really weird traditions. It's kind of our thing. One of my favorite traditions is that not just the students graduate. When a teacher has to leave, the teachers also graduate, and usually a senior will give a really tear-inducing, beautiful speech to let these teachers go to their next job. However, we're closing, so in a way, we're all graduating, right? So we're doing something a little different this year. I would like to present to you Life of a Trillium Advisor, a poem in 4 voices. Thank you.
Let's introduce ourselves.
Eva.
Jeff.
Laurel.
Annalie.
She, her.
She, her.
He, him.
She, her.
Spanish, ELL, Women's Studies, Advising.
English, film, advising.
Social studies, poetry, advising.
Health, senior project, internship, women's studies, garden, advising.
And we also teach middle school.
I do not.
Every morning, I walk in the
building at 7:15.
7:30.
7:45.
8 o'clock.
And
There's
Sharon, our beacon of hope.
Our lifeline.
The only person who can answer yes when I ask, can you change the schedule?
Can you change this transcript?
Can you print this roster?
Can I have a stamp?
By the time first period is half over, I finally have enough students
To justify officially starting class. Now it's time for advising. Circle up, everybody. Come on, guys, can you please just sit in a circle?
phones away.
Everyone loves this album, right?
How was your weekend?
Here is today's circle prompt.
How are you feeling? I'm still drinking my coffee.
I need a galette.
I'm writing on the board. Please don't talk to me.
Well, there's this, and we need to do this.
Did you turn in your paper for Annalie?
Where's the paper? Does Jeff have his guitar again?
I didn't really rehearse this, but
Did you study
for Spanish Kahoot?
Juguemos a cahoots.
So health class is just sex ed all year then.
It's health through a sex lens.
We're a strange little group.
We are teachers.
We are coworkers.
We are friends.
We
We
are
are
a
a team. And without this team, I never would have preferred to spend every single lunch period with my coworkers.
I never would have sat in the hallway after school reluctant to leave.
I never would have cried at work and felt so comfortable and cared for.
I never would have thought it could be so easy to connect to 3 strangers so quickly.
Annalie, I will never forget all the supportive texts you sent me during winter, when you knew me and my family were going through an uncertain and difficult time. It meant the whole world to me.
I will never forget our shared prep periods and your incredibly compassionate chats with preschoolers.
I will never forget our early mornings, planning it all, making cake, and feeling immediately connected. You were new this year, but you were always one of us.
Jeff, more than anything, I will miss your theatrics, your songs, and your passion.
Jeff, more than anything, I will miss the immediate sense of ease and shared understanding we feel around each other.
More than anything, I will miss you, the only person Zuzu likes, and our in-sync, space-connected brains.
Laurel, I will always remember you befriending and helping me through one of the hardest periods of my life.
I will always remember the experience of co-teaching women's studies, our accidental yet frequent matching outfits, and all of the earrings I borrowed for way too long and lost.
I will always remember the joy you shared through your smiles and laughter, even when making one really terrible cake.
Ava, I will always appreciate 6 a.m. burpees, picnics, walks, word games, and marriage.
I will always appreciate the memories of the sound of your laughter coming through the next room. I will always
appreciate the jokes we share without even saying a single word.
So through all the what went wells,
Announcements and proposals.
Issues and concerns.
thank yous and apologies.
we
carried
carried
each
each other,
We planned field trips together.
built schedules together,
Screamed together.
Held a high school together.
We
drove Jeff home every
day.
Simply put,
We were there for each other.
We're
still here for each other.
Advising is over.
but there's still one thing to do.
Stack your chairs, people.
can some of you just help stack my chairs, please?
Las sillas, por favor.
Can you guys stack the chairs?
Thank you.
Alrighty-dighty, folks. So that's enough about the teachers. I mean, really, we don't care that much. The only reason we are here is because of this beautiful row of graduating seniors. I have never had a more beloved group of people in my life. Usually at the end of a school year, I am out of there and I am so happy and I don't look back. And this year is not that way. I'm really quite glad to celebrate with you and sad to see you go. We're going to spend a little time now with a video and a slideshow to begin the celebration of these wonderful humans.
Wait, Winston and Bernie's, Hollis. Bernie's. And then you gotta put your arms over you.
Good.
Okay, it's adding words. Okay, here we go. Now we're ready. Nico. Sorry, I messed it up.
Sorry, what?
You need a bath.
Yes, Jeff, another adult at least.
My mom owes me one.
I love it when they're like taking baths.
I think I actually know how to do some things.
Almost the eye again.
We are the future!
I am the god of this reality.
Las moscas zumbaban cerca de los animales más o menos igual, pero aterrizar.
I'm sorry! It's too good!
Tova.
Tag infection.
I'm glad it's not your time to speak, sir. Maya. Oh my goodness, so good. Oh. Did you have any?
They were all doing things. They were like, hey, status quo,
Bah! They did their own thing.
You!
Run!
You!
So you got your thumb forceps and your. Are these Olsenhaggers?
So this is supposed to represent like the dog's skin, and then you go in.
So stiff.
Wait, but what about the you go down, kick your leg out or whatever? We're not doing that.
That's Russian or something. Not at all what I would say.
Wow. Is it okay that I have 42 slides?
No, it's not okay. That's not okay at all.
Elijah,
20 slides.
That means you have 30 seconds for each slide, Elijah.
I have like 17 slides.
That means you learn was fun.
It's the standard one.
Come on, you just lie down on that. Enjoy it while it lasts, because believe it or not, you will miss it someday.
Go to the game, or the party, or the play. Netflix isn't going anywhere.
Don't be afraid of anything or anyone.
Who's that?
Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself.
Revel in the nostalgia, but live in the present too.
Again, take pictures, damn it.
Graduation day will be one of the best days of your life.
Go ahead.
Bernardo, half my place. Give you a good night.
Hola, Bernardo.
Say.
The last thing I want to talk about relationships is gender roles.
Tosh, tosh, 'tis will not appear.
Sit down a while.
Thou art a scholar. Speak to it, Horatio.
Looks it not like the king?
Nice.
Have a look at them. I'll look at them.
Don't make me wear that hoodie again.
Have a look at them.
You know what? Do it.
Everyone
Have a
wants
look
you to
at
wear
them.
that hoodie. I don't know where to stand. Here, like right here.
So let me introduce myself. I am Corey Whitcomb, the science teacher at Trillium. I've had many incredibly nerdy times with some of these students, and I've really enjoyed it. I would like to, we're going to move into the graduation ceremony. How we're going to do this is the seniors will all be introduced and spoken for by somebody they've requested to speak for them. And it's a little bit more special and meaningful than the average ceremony, and I'm really looking forward to it. If I could first invite the seniors to come up to the stage. And I will begin by introducing the person speaking for Ethan Vendetta. Ethan Vendetta will have Spanish teacher Eva Soto Pareo speak for him. Come on up.
I'm like as nervous as any of these people, I know. Okay. Hola, Ethan. When Ethan asked me to give his graduation speech for him, I briefly panicked. How am I supposed to summarize everything I now know about Ethan? Snippets of our first conversations came to my mind. The first interaction I remember having with him was in Patrick's old room, who's also in the audience, where Vince was talking about being a revolutionary Marxist and a Trotskyist. And Ethan got into a little bit of an argument with him. So I asked him if he considered himself a communist too. And he said, no, I'm an anarcho-communist. All right, cool. I'm interested. At the very least, we can connect on this urgent need to constantly rethink and change the world. But of course, there was a lot more I was going to learn about Ethan. The second memory I have of him is an example of how the not-so-good circumstances can still make Ethan thrive when he feels connected and committed. He got placed in the smallest Spanish 4 class of all time, with Maya as my TA, thank you, Maya, with only 3 other seniors who had put off the world language requirement till their last semester, my favorite type of Spanish class. Ethan was the only student in that group who seemed like he had the potential to become a grammar nerd like me and actually learn some Spanish. And I was right. Ethan would find verb conjugations and fancy tenses intriguing, even though none of his classmates managed to ever show up for the full length of a period. So, if I were to summarize my relationship with Ethan, it would come down to 2 unifying points: Spanish and politics. Even though Ethan's world language requirement was satisfied a year ago, he decided to keep taking it, just for fun. He was a fantastic addition to our classroom, and I have nothing but confidence and, of course, hope that Ethan can take his language learning to the next level. As for politics, what continues to impress me is how Ethan's commitment to community building and social justice reflects so much in all he does. Like going to Trillium, for example. Ethan joined our high school at the same time I did, about 3 years ago. He joined after trying a regular big public school, where he felt nothing but overwhelmed, unheard, and so far from connected to anyone. His second step was trying online school, where he felt even more isolated and completely unmotivated. And then he came to Trillium, where he found the perfect environments that would help him connect, learn, and grow into the Ethan that we know today. It was the small classes, the tight, mixed, and supportive social groups, the democratic and constructivist philosophy, and the many one-on-one opportunities with teachers that made for the ideal atmosphere for his schooling. Finally, a place where every person mattered, and where his ideas around the many injustices going on in the world could be constructively explored. These are all some of the same reasons why I decided to work here. I felt like dreamers belonged and were celebrated, which I think is so cool and necessary. Ethan believes that capitalism is destroying the planet. He also believes that oppression is wrong, that not one person deserves more than their neighbor, and that fostering healthy communities is the key to ending these wrongs and make the world a better place. But Ethan doesn't just talk and philosophize. He puts his thesis into practice every day. He comes early and stays late just so that he can make himself available to his teachers and classmates. When the announcement came that Trillium would be closing, he immediately jumped on to researching all the legal options. It literally took him 5 minutes. He could find to fight for the survival of the school. He could have checked out and not partaken in this process since he's a senior. He wasn't gonna come back the following year. But that's just not the kind of person that Ethan is. Relatedly, his senior project consisted of exploring the moral, political, and logistical possibilities for the building of a successful commune. And just like his attitude with Trillium, his end goal wasn't just to study and admire these from afar, but learning how to eventually build them. Ethan. This is the hard part, okay. Although I believe this is all extremely ambitious, as a fellow dreamer myself, I have to say, I support you unconditionally. Everything I've observed about you tells me that you will push through any obstacles, even if sometimes we fall down and need some pause to reset. Because I agree with you, without community, what are we? Without support, love, connection, empathy, how are we to do what we're meant to do and succeed? It's in your hands now, but of course you won't do it alone. I have all the confidence that you will influence the people around you to accompany you in doing right by their neighbors and Earth, as well as find those who will fight alongside you wherever you go next. Best of luck, and it's been a real pleasure.
My gait, I've got a pinched nerve in my back, so it has me moving a little funny. I'm Neil Noble, involved in a little math here. Speaking for graduate Sid Thomas. Speaking for graduate Sid Thomas is Jessica Fetco, the art teacher for Trillium, Trillium, Trillium.
Hi, everybody. This is nothing like teaching. I'm really nervous. I was really excited when you asked me to speak for you, because I know I'm a small part of your story at Trillium, but a big part of your identity is being an artist. And we all know that Sid is an amazing artist, hard worker, gifted, and I saw it every day in art class. She always put all of herself into her work, and not only that, but into her classmates around her. So I wanted to speak about that and how much she cares about art, but more than that, I could see how much she cares about her classmates and the Trillium community. Sid has a way of perspective taking, of seeing everybody for who they are and valuing them for who they are. And I saw that, every day in class, and I saw that also when she came to my middle school classes. I'll never forget the first day when she saw me stand up and try to get the attention of the 20 rowdy middle schoolers and just see the whole thing from a whole new perspective. It was wonderful having you there. And I learned so much about myself and about my teaching. And I just wanted to mention that because Sid didn't judge. So kids were crazy. It was crazy. She's like, oh my God, I'm a new teacher, you know? And Sid got to see all of this happening and me learning. And she was so helpful and always respected even every one of those crazy middle schoolers, and you know? And always was like, I don't know, I feel like if there's one thing I could say about Sid is that she gives everyone her presence and her truth. And she is so respectful to everybody, no matter what, and honest. And yeah, so another moment I remember was when you wanted to do an art project based on Tim Burton. And you were starting to do this watercolor, and you weren't really used to kind of the process. And you called me over a little bit in, you know, you're like, I don't know how this is going. I don't think I really like this. And I was just like, oh my God, those are amazing, you know? And it was so cool because I felt like Sid challenged me, you know? So I was working with students who barely wanted to pick up a pencil, all the way up to, you know, really amazing artists who had great skills. And I'm like, Sid, are you bored? You know, like, how can I challenge this student? It's such a huge range. But Sid, you took advantage, and you were always grateful, and you always made the most out of your studio time. And I remember nerding out with you about that project, and lots of times ever since, because you always challenged yourself. And, you know, I don't know, I got a lot out of that, out of nerding out with you and being like, this gold beige compared to this gold beige, I don't know, and it's just like, you really have an eye, you're really visually in tune, and I feel like we share that, and it's been really wonderful sharing that with you. And I think everyone would agree that it's been wonderful having you at Trillium, and I don't know, I didn't write it down. But I really appreciate you, Sid, and I feel like you have all this wisdom for a young person, and whatever you want to do, you can do it. Just follow your heart, because you figured out a lot already, I feel like, you know. And I know that we've all really learned a lot from your presence, and I hope you feel the same about Trillium, and I wish you the best of luck in whatever you choose to do.
Hi, I'm Matilda. My role at Trillium is I'm a 7th grader. You might all know me because I talk a lot, and I'm very loud. You might hear me in the hallways or anything. Sorry if I butcher your guys' names. This is going to be fun. Speaking for graduate Alec Harrington is English teacher Jeff Van Vickle.
So, every year, the high school advisors get together and they award the seniors with superlatives. Now, a traditional school awards students with superlatives such as most likely to succeed, or best dressed, or weirdly enough, something like most attractive. I don't know why they still do these things, it's very strange. But anyways, at Trillium, we do things a little bit differently. So for Alec, there was absolutely no question about his award. He received most likely to side with the machines in the coming war. Now, this was a no-brainer for us, not because we believe Alec to be some kind of cyborg masquerading as a teenager who loves Metallica and the 2001 World War II film Enemy at the Gates. but because so much of his time at Trillium has been defined by his relationship with and his mastery of technology. For example, here's a glimpse inside a day in my senior English classroom. I'm teaching. Okay, everybody, you have your papers, so let's get to work on those analyses of iambic pentameter in Shakespeare's sonnets. And here's Alec. I look over just to check to see if he's doing his work, and by the way, he doesn't, when I asked him before this event what he thought of Apple, he said, generally, I don't care for Apple. So sorry that I'm using an Apple. Anyways, the scene, I say, work on your worksheet. I look over at Alec, he's got his computer. So always through my mind, I'm thinking, what in God's name is he doing on that thing? I never know. It's always a mystery. So I walk over there and I say, so, how's it going, Alec? He looks up and says, fine. So, are you gonna do your work? And he says, yeah, I'm doing it. And I say, but you don't have the worksheet out. And he says, yeah, I'm doing it on my computer. I'm actually about to share it with you right now. So I just kind of waltz away. I say, okay. And I go back and I go to my computer and I look at it. And sure enough, he has just shared the completed worksheet with me that he went to the scanner, scanned in himself to his own computer, typed in all the responses, and shared it with me before anyone else had barely even gotten started on the assignment. So, after that, I stopped questioning what he was doing and just let him stay in the corner with his screen, for better or for worse. But I developed a sense of trust with him. But it's not just the way that he completes his work that stands out. In terms of providing technical assistance to literally the entire school, Alec has been a, what's the word? Oh yeah, a godsend. Printer jammed? Go find Alec. Internet being finicky? Go find Alec. Need a particular cable, adapter, power strip, or a chuckle at the fact that you are entirely technologically inept? Go find Alec. And it's not just the way that he helps the staff, nor is it just his technological expertise that makes Alec stand out. Another constant when it comes to Alec is the way he extends a helping hand to his fellow students when they are hurting, or simply need someone to listen to them. I can't even begin to count the number of times I've seen Alex sitting on the floor in the hallway with a distressed middle school student, simply listening to them vent their feelings and frustrations. And he extends this sentiment to the teachers as well. Every morning when he walked in my classroom for senior English, on time, by the way, which makes him one of the 2 students who regularly did that. Shout out to Sid. Every morning he would ask, how's your morning going, Jeff? And for Alec, this isn't a simple pleasantry. He genuinely wants to know how I'm doing, and it feels very special. So, based on his compassion for his peers and his mastery of all things tech, I have no doubts that Alec will succeed next year at Lane Community College in Eugene, and in all the years to come. But Alec, may I make one request? When the machines turn on all of us pathetic sacks of meat, could you do your old English teacher a favor and put in a good word for me? Potentially. He said potentially. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jake Pincus. I'm the middle school language arts teacher, and I'll be introducing the internship coordinator, Laurel Grimes, who will be speaking for Samwise Thompson.
Hi, Sam. Oh boy. Okay. Junior year, in internship class, Samwise told me he didn't need to write a resume. He's going to have a career in film. I argued that most people don't just get careers in the film industry, and he may find himself waiting tables or working in an office to start. Nope, he said. My uncle is in film. I don't need a resume. He refused to write one, so I wrote one for him. I will read it to you now. Samwise Thompson, by me. I'm not going to read your address to this crowd of people, though I do have your social security number. Okay. He trusts me with too much, including this speech. Okay. Experience. Samwise Designs, Portland, Oregon, resident artist. Illustrates and writes his own comic book. Writes scripts for multiple original films. Developing a massive and impressive art portfolio. Unwittingly contributed to a gallery of art on my classroom wall. Created an amazing horror fantasy comic for Jeff's class. Polysync, Portland, Oregon, intern. Secured an internship with the creative team and my boyfriend at a firm developing software for self-driving cars. Learned how to use a computer. Designed a comic book and an incredible t-shirt with a demonic yak on it. Amused his mentors with random animal facts from the internet. Paiku, Portland, Oregon, son and many other things. Did things involving pies for his parents. Education, Laurel's internship class. Refused to write a resume. Drew an amazing interpretation of Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. He was juggling eggs. It was incredible. I still have it. It's on the wall. Laurel's health class. Passed on the last day. Rocked Health Jeopardy. Created a public service announcement about how vaping causes erectile dysfunction. Ava's advising. Member. Correctly identified Pan's Labyrinth as the best movie of all time. Drew in his sketchbook the entire period, every time. Skills. Illustration. It's a no-brainer. Loving movies. Hating plays. Speaking passionately about his artistic projects. Being stubborn, but because he believes what he's saying. Languages. English, buena leche de gato, his only Spanish sentence, which means good cat's milk. Awards. Most likely to infuriate the screenwriter adapting his comic book for film, his senior superlative. Most likely to be drawing when he should be taking notes. Only paid intern of his class. And last to turn in a senior resume. Because as it turns out, he did need one after all to graduate from a Portland public school. Oh, Sam. This is for you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sharon, my bad. I'm the school secretary for Trillium. Thank you. If you can't tell, I don't do this very often. But Speaking for graduate Asher Clifford is her mom, Brooke Dempsey.
Hello, everyone. Congratulations, seniors. I was so honored when Asher asked me to speak for her. When she told me that she had been thinking about who to ask, and then came to the realization that the person who knew her best was me, it warmed my heart, to say the least. I felt like I had succeeded in some monumental parenting moment. I'll also admit that it would have been nice to have more than a week's notice, just to pull the thoughts together. Asher has had a winding road to get to this graduation day. Although she did not start at Trillium until halfway through her sophomore year, she actually began her connection here when she was just 4 years old. She got a much coveted spot for the kindergarten from the wait list before the end of the school year and was able to do a shadow day. She ended up at a different school after that, after a lot of deliberation, but it seemed worth mentioning that she almost began her school career here. Fast forwarding several years, after having mostly good experiences in school through the 5th grade, especially in kindergarten, thanks to her wonderful kindergarten teacher who's here today, Asher began talking about hating school in the 6th grade. As a parent, this is not what you want to hear from your 11-year-old. I wanted her to have a good relationship with school, unlike my experience at her age. We spent a lot of time looking into what had changed, what was happening day to day in class, what was happening for her emotionally, how much of it was about typical development, and how much was due to her school environment. And then we started looking into what her other options could be for 7th grade and beyond. In that search, we found ourselves back at Trillium, applying for a middle school lottery spot. In the end, we chose to abandon the school route altogether and decided to explore homeschooling, or a version of unschooling. I still don't know if this was the right or best decision, mostly because we left behind a strong community where we were closely involved and never found ourselves in another one as a whole family. But I think Asher feels mostly positive about having been listened to and supported and respected enough to be given the lead to make her own educational choices, which is something she did not feel in 6th grade at her school. So we meandered our way through a few years of life without school dictating her schedule or her learning direction. When she realized that she was interested in college after high school one day, we looked into the dual credit programs where she could get her high school diploma while earning college credits at the same time. She ended up in a program where she would be taking classes at Mount Hood Community College as a sophomore, barely 15 years old. She had to take the placement test and scored very high in reading and writing, so that she was placed in Writing 121, after having no experience in a high school class, much less a writing class. This was a super proud moment for me as the parent, who spent a lot of time questioning whether taking the alternative education route was the right one. But receiving those test scores that day, I was selfishly vindicated and relieved that I hadn't totally blown it. And really, really proud of her. She started classes that fall. It was exciting and scary at the same time. It was hard work and a big adjustment. In the meantime, her little brother had just happened to be a kindergartner at Trillium. Yes, we were back again. As her college semester continued on, she started feeling like she was missing out by not being with peers her age and having more of a high school experience. Again, we talked about options. Madison was our neighborhood high school, but she felt very clear that a big public high school was not right for her. As we all know, alternative programs for high school students in Portland are very limited. So we discussed Trillium yet again, and she was interested. Luckily, it turned out there was a space for her to begin in the 2nd semester, so she chose to accept the spot this time, and in February of 2017, Asher finally was an enrolled student at Trillium. Here, she found her community, a place where she felt she belonged. She has thrived in the small class size and feeling like she has a voice here where she could be seen and heard and not disappear into a huge crowd of students and staff like elsewhere. As is typical for most teenagers, Asher's been trying to find herself, figuring out what is important and meaningful to her and what is not, and what brings her joy and what does not, finding her self-worth and leaving behind the people who do not respect and build that up. As we older folks know, this is a lifelong process. As Asher's grown and matured, and now reaching this big milestone of finishing high school, I can see her strengths and determination developing, building that strong foundational rock that she can stand upon and look out into the great big world and continue to find her way. Arabella, I love you. I am so very, very proud of you, and I am so looking forward to watching you on this path forward. You will no doubt shout your way through. You will cry your way through. You will laugh your way through. You will be loud and angry at times. You will be quiet and reflective at times. And you will be utterly confused and feel lost at times. And all of that will help inform who you are and who you want to become. And throughout, I will be here to give a push when needed, offer a hug when needed, or just ask you what you really need. You started out this life as a mama's girl, and at times it's been hard for me to let you go and have the freedom to make your decisions and mistakes sometimes. But I trust you in this journey because I know you are special and lovable and capable and are meant to be here. This is just another beginning. I've always had a feeling that it would be after high school and into your young adult years that you would come into your own, now given the chance to experience real independence. This is your butterfly moment, the time for you to metamorphosis, and it will be beautiful.
Hello, my name is Erin Bautista. I'm a junior at Trillium. I first started in 8th grade, and it was an emotional roller coaster, but I've stuck it out. And today, speaking for graduate Teresa Wisdom is high school advisor, my own personal advisor as well, Annalie Pereira.
Hi, I'm Annalie Pereira. I'm going to lower this because I'm not that tall. So today, Teresa's hair is blue. This was not true 10 days ago, or 14 days ago after that, or the week before that. Teresa is a chameleon. If you judged her as fickle due to her ever-changing hair hues, you would be totally and completely wrong. She is actually quite steady. She is deeply committed to her relationships. Some of her friendships she's had are with people that are sitting here in this audience today. She's had them since early childhood, and they speak very highly of you, by the way. Teresa has a commitment to her work as well. I have personally seen her work incredibly hard to make sure that every assignment was completed, every work sample passed, to get across this stage today. But as you all know, Teresa's work is not school, it's cosplay. The time and energy, not to mention the devotion that she has to her cosplay work, shows that Teresa is dedicated to something. When she's dedicated to something, she can do amazing things. If you have ever had the opportunity to see it for yourself, you would be blown away. For her senior presentation, she shared her passion of cosplay. So impassioned was her presentation, she made a group of middle schoolers weep at its awesomeness. Seriously, this is not an exaggeration. That really happened. A middle school student had to be consoled. This is short and sweet. Just, I want you to know that I think very deeply and have a lot of care for you. And I am always very impressed every time you show up. I really wish that I could have put a screen up here with some of the pictures from her cosplay, because my daughter, who is super into cosplay, was blown away. Teresa has not had an easy go of things, but she always sticks the landing. She shows up when it counts and then regales you with amazing stories, most of which involve the toils of cosplay costumes. Best of luck. I know that whatever obstacles life throws at you, you will find a way to focus and create beauty in the unique. Good luck.
Hi, my name is Jamie Melchert. I'm the head of school at Trillium Charter School. Thank you. Speaking for graduate Maya McGaw is their brother, Julian McGaw. Maya will also be speaking for themselves.
Hello, humans. Wow, that's really loud. I can stand back here, I guess. Hello, I am Maya McGaw. There's this thing that we do a lot around here, around Trillium. It's called a WAIT meeting. It feels to me like it's something that is very classically Trillium. WAIT is an acronym that stands for, and you all who know it can say it with me if you want, W, what went well? A, announcements and proposals. I, issues and concerns. And lastly, T, thank yous and apologies. Yes. So, call me cliche, but I'm going to have myself a little WAIT meeting right here, right now, and you all have to listen to me. So, folks, what went well? Let me check my notes. Oh, right, I'm graduating from high school. So that's going pretty well so far, I think. Announcements and proposals. Hey, folks, guess what? I'm graduating from high school. Issues and concerns. As you all know, I have many. I usually do. But I'm going to share 3. Firstly, I'm graduating from high school. Yikes. Second, this school is shutting down. That sucks. I'm not going to make a joke out of that. It just sucks. I have a major issue with it. Third, no Trillium WAIT meeting would be complete without, in my eyes, without my weekly contribution. I have an issue with the state of the world. I've said it in WAIT meetings for 4 years now, and though I won't have that particular platform anymore, I swear I'll keep saying it in the streets, in letters to my representatives, and on my ballot until something changes. Lastly, we have thank yous and apologies. And you're just gonna have to bear with me because, believe me, after 4 years, I have a few. I have to start with my first family, my little brother, my amazing parents, and our beautiful puppies that we've had over the years. You guys are wonderful, and you've allowed me to grow into the person I am today. I also have to thank my second family, our little collection of outcasts who have adopted each other. I love you all to the ends of the earth, unconditionally and forever. Sorry. I also need to thank all the teachers I've had over the years. You all deserve an award for the amazing work you've done. I have no time to give you the thanks that you all deserve, but I just want you all to know that I appreciate you, and I'm eternally grateful for everything you've done for me and the person you've helped me become. I also need to thank the school Trillium as a whole for giving me the adventure of a lifetime, so thank you guys, it's been amazing. I owe an apology to everyone I've ever gone to school with. In the last 4 years, I've never, ever, ever shut up. What can I say? Sorry, not sorry, I guess. All of you are a really, really special bunch of folks, and I wish each and every one of you the very best of luck wherever life takes you. Now, I really will be quiet for a minute, and my not-so-little brother Julian is here to speak for me. Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Julian. For those of you who do not know, which I imagine is a lot of you, I am Maya's younger brother. So when Maya first asked me to speak for them, they didn't come to me and directly ask me to speak for them. They came to me and they said, I was going to have Jess Brooks speak for me, but I'm going to have you do it instead. They didn't really explain the thought process that went into that decision, so as you can imagine, if you know who Jess Brooks is, it was kind of big shoes to fill, but I thought, I've known Maya my entire life, so why not? I wrote and rewrote this speech quite a few times, on paper and in my head, and I realized something pretty quick. I was going to have to wait until a matter of weeks before graduation to write the final draft, because I knew it needed to represent who Maya is right now, and I just hope it does that. Maya has always been the classic defensive older sibling, but was also still willing to take advantage of their height and age superiority. But I'm taller now. Maya has always been my companion in everything. Growing up as weird homeschooled kids, we always had a very finite number of friends. And we made up for that by making sure that we were always each other's best friends. Whenever we could be together, we were. Whether that meant sitting on our room floor playing Dungeons and Dragons to try and avoid social interaction, marching together downtown, bouncing story ideas off each other, or just sitting and watching a show or listening to a podcast together. We've always been together, and I can honestly say that all that time spent with Maya has changed and formed the person I am today profoundly. Maya has that effect on everything and everyone they interact with. Maya is not content to just sit back and watch the world go by. They always make their mark in small ways and big ones. Maya is an activist, not a bystander, and I think anybody who knows them would agree that they're going to do something big with their life, and we're all just waiting to see what that is. Maya and I were always an odd pair. Most people can't even tell we're siblings. But despite that, we stuck together, even when Maya went to school and I stayed homeschooled. And Maya took on high school like they've taken on everything. It was a game, and they weren't willing to lose. And credit where credit is due, I think Trillium really provided what Maya needed, a supportive community that allowed them to grow and take responsibility and lead. The two of us have always had the mentality of us against the world, and seeing Maya on this stage today, I think it's safe to say the world is going to lose. I'm unbelievably, indescribably proud of you and what you've done and who you are. I love you, Maya. We're two shooting stars. Nothing can stop us.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a junior, and I'm crying just a little bit. Speaking for graduate Tony Rodriguez is Laurel and Ava.
Okay. Okay, it's cool. Okay.
We're doing it.
Tony.
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 When Tony approached us to speak for her at graduation, she knew we'd cry and be sappy.
So she also demanded humor.
She's probably going to regret this. But as those of you who have met her know, what Tony demands,
Tony gets.
You always know when Tony's in the room. Tony likes to explain things.
My first memory of Tony was watching Beyonce's Lemonade in Patrick's classroom. Tony needed to be sure I understood everything about it, from every unnamed cameo to the symbolism of hot sauce. She knows a lot, but she does not know everything.
However, that will not stop her from explaining everything.
We call it
Tony-splaining.
She will Tony-splain teaching Spanish to the Spanish teacher, or history to the history teacher.
Listening to Tony, you'd think none of us knew how to do our jobs. She will even Tony-splain mansplaining. Tony explains.
And she also complains.
She was the most vocal opponent of the cell phone policy, but was also the first to jump on playing board games with her classmates when Trillium went tech-free
for a whole 3 days.
She will rally her classmates into playing Jenga.
And then troll them until she wins.
She complains more than anyone about group activities and the ushy-gushy parts of Trillium, but she's central to the community of this school.
As one of the few students who completed her entire high school career here, she is one of the fiercest defenders of Trillium traditions. Our school has suffered many transitions, and Tony has been committed to ensuring that the good parts remain.
Her commitment to the things and people she cares about is one of the traits we love most about her. In sharing anecdotes about Tony, we noticed a few central qualities that, despite our different roles and different relationships with her, are always present.
Commitment is one. The second one is dogs. Tony loves dogs. So much so that she incorporates dogs into everything that happens at school.
We said she always gets her way.
I even include photos of my dog in my internship slideshows because of her.
She brings her dog, Rosie, to school.
Even though it's not allowed.
And has her tattooed on her leg. Her senior project was about the evolution of dogs. Her internship was at St. John's Animal Clinic.
This summer, she will be traveling to Ireland to train on a horse farm, where she will immediately befriend the sheepdog. It comes as no surprise to anyone that she is pursuing a life in veterinary medicine.
This kid knows what she wants. That's one of the most powerful things about Tony. She has a mission.
She is driven.
We have both known Tony for 3 years, and she has never given us a reason to doubt that she will succeed in whatever she chooses.
But it will definitely be dogs.
Seeing her just going for it as someone who's so young and has not had an easy life is nothing short of inspiring.
Tony is clear about who she is and what she wants and needs. And if Ava says no to something, she'll just ask me. And then when I say no, she goes to our boss.
Despite how annoying that is and how much we want to scream sometimes, we admire her persistence. She is a powerful advocate for herself.
She also advocates for her friends, her family, her community, and her passions. When a substitute teacher was pushing Tony's best friend to participate when she wasn't ready, Tony rushed to her defense, told off the sub, and demanded that he never return.
Last year, when I shared with my class that I was going through a hard time, Tony, despite not yet knowing me well, got up and asked me who she had to fight to make things better. Her tactics are sometimes harsh, but they show her care and passion.
She's a true ride or die. When it was clear that Ava would not condone violence, Tony was not defeated. She just switched strategies. She showed her support for Ava and rallied her advising to make t-shirts that said Team Ava in glitter instead.
Tony managed to make me laugh and feel cared for at a time when I most needed it. Tony is tough on the outside, but over the years, we have both seen her softer side. Which brings us to our third thing. Laurel and I have been lucky to experience a less public part of Tony, her vulnerability.
We say lucky because vulnerability is hard, but it is also the root of strength. Tony is always confident and portrays an I got this, don't mess with me vibe, but it's her ability to be real and connect that convinces us that she in fact does have this and that her strength is not a front.
Like Beyonce in Lemonade. Tony is loud and powerful, while also a really thoughtful and sensitive young woman. She always finds the root of connection with the people she cares about.
Tony and I first bonded over our dogs, obviously, but now she mostly makes fun of me. She will never admit this, but she's kind of a goofball. She intentionally distracts me with a shiny nail polish or asks me what's going on with my hair. During their senior photo shoot, she insisted I got a video of her attempting to click her heels. She did, and you saw it. Tony also comes into my room just to talk, and so Rosie can nap on my rug. She seeks me out for help with her transcript and also for the really serious stuff. I feel trusted by Tony, and it's hard to explain how special that feels.
As one of the few other Latinas in our overwhelmingly white high school, I love you all, but it's true. Meeting Tony was extremely important to finding a sense of belonging in this new community. Together, we've been able to feel more at home, by dancing to reggaeton while nobody else would, and having secret conversations in Spanish, which, by the way, pobrecitos estos gringos que no han probado tres leches.
I know, right? And speaking of tres leches, along with your cake, you will also enjoy tres leches after the ceremony.
We were debating what cake to get for graduation when our former chef said he was unable to make his famous guava cake.
And Tony immediately said, we have to have tres leches. It's better than cake. And what Tony demands,
Tony gets.
Tony.
It has been so amazing to know you. It has been so amazing to know you, and we're both so honored to have been part of your life like this. I love you so much. Te amo mucho. Y viva México. Let me cry. It's over.
Not crying, these are sweat. I'm sweating from my eyes. Yeah, so, speaking for a close personal friend of mine, I still don't know how to say your full first name. I will. Speaking for Ish Brewington is Jeff Van Vickel.
I'm gonna do another impression. Sorry, it's just what I do sometimes. So, I would like to show you all how a typical conversation between Ish and me begins. So, I'll be Ish. Jeff, if you have a second, I'd really love to talk to you about this crazy idea for a horror film that just came to me last night in a dream. It's like really crazy. It's a horror film and it's also a superhero film. Do you have a second? Okay, I'm gonna tell you about it. Thank you. Now, I would like to reenact Ish asking me to speak for him for this event right now. Note the contrast. Hey, Jeff, lock it down, bro. Yeah. Hey, so, oh, you're busy. Okay, so, you're okay. You're not busy, so, like, I know it's kind of late notice, but note the contrast between the two. So, personally, I received a small bit of satisfaction seeing Ish nervous like this. Some context for that one, though. So when Ish came to Trillium halfway through his junior year, I was immediately suspicious. Waltzing in the door comes this guy, just already cracking jokes, loudly, I might add, initiating one-on-one chats with the teachers, and seeming genuinely engaged by the material we were covering in class. This is not how a new student behaves, especially when entering such a tight-knit, specific community as Trillium. So I asked myself, what sorcery is this? How could someone make such a significant transition so seamlessly? I soon found out that this was one of Ish's superpowers, finding a way to connect with the people around him. And when I say the people around him, I don't just mean his immediate friend group. Not once have I witnessed Ish saying a cruel word to a single one of his peers. In fact, it's just the opposite. On top of his quick wit and self-deprecating humor, Ish is, above all, kind. That four-letter word may seem like a small thing, but we don't have to look too far to see plenty of examples of people being anything but. So Ish encourages his peers and lifts their spirits when they're struggling with a project. He helps anyone and everyone who needs that obligatory heavy thing carried to their car. And he made me a peanut sauce earlier this year that was, in his words, the dankness. That last one may not be the clearest example of kindness, but it was delicious. If you were to ask me where I saw Ish truly shine, I would have to say that it was in my acting class this last semester that just finished. It was a quirky group. It was 7 students total, and Ish very quickly established himself as a leader. Not once was he afraid to do the weird thing, and not once was he anything but encouraging for the students who were a bit hesitant to put themselves out there. He is an excellent example of someone who can not only deliver a hilarious joke out of thin air, seriously, you should see this guy do improv, it's actually very incredible, but someone who takes the art seriously when it calls for it. Having a good amount of theater experience, I will say that a performer who strikes that balance is very hard to find. Ish, where you are headed next is still a mystery to me, but these things I know for sure. Wherever you are, people are going to gravitate to you and look to you as someone who will not only entertain them, but also as someone they can trust. P.S. Keep me posted on that fantasy comic thing that you were talking about, because I was genuinely interested. I'm not sure if I communicated that to you directly, but I'm genuinely interested, and I think it sounds really cool, and you're probably going to see it somewhere in the world at some point. So I hope it sees the light of day. And finally, one last thing. Could you lock it down, bro?
Oh, I got you, bro.
I don't like being in front of groups. Anyway, so I'm Brenna. I'm a 2nd and 3rd grade teacher at Trillium. And thanks. Speaking for graduate Claire Hines is her mom, Krista Hines.
Hello. I'm going to begin by saying Claire Hines has been my teacher. Throughout Claire's childhood, I was determined to be the best parent I could be, to provide guidance and opportunity, safety and comfort, to build her emotional intelligence and sense of self, to support her in finding happiness, and to be clear in loving herself and to thrive in the world. And now may be a good time to tell you that sometimes I try too hard. And so, she knows the joke, okay. It was when she was in 8th grade and we started looking at options for high school that my bubble burst. I had imagined Claire attending my alma mater at St. Mary's Academy. I thought, what a perfect opportunity to be in an empowered, female-centric, nurturing environment with access to opportunity. College preparatory at its best. The ultimate in privilege, that word that brings with it a mix of shame and protest for so many, especially Claire at the time. It did not take long for Claire to correct me on my misdirected assumptions. I learned that I had to make the shift from I am the parent, and so I know the best choice and the best path, to this new realization that was what is best for me and what I think is the best option may not be anywhere near the best thing for my daughter. This letting go of my own influence took me some time, but Claire was an excellent teacher. Claire advocated for her right to be her own person. There were already signs early on that she had the ability to voice her needs and advocate for herself. She had the strength in the years leading up to high school to express herself to adults, to assert when something felt wrong or unjust, She would speak up, protest, fight for what was right. I admired her strength and conviction. Claire taught me that her experience matters. If ever there was a day that I might forget it or my defenses got in the way of remembering, she would remind me that her experience matters. I am so for good or for bad. I am so grateful that she knows this, and I love it that she can trust as her mother that I will use this as the foundation. She has been steadfast and unwavering in her teachings. I think it is fair to say that there have been some bumps in the path, but Claire ultimately landed right in the place that I hoped she would. Graduating high school, getting accepted and admitted to college, going away to U of O in the fall. Yeah. Standing up for herself as needed, having a voice, knowing her value, having a plan to develop her knowledge, life skills, and academic interests in a setting of higher learning, to explore her professional path, to be able to become the person that she knows best about becoming. Claire has taught me that my most important job is to trust her and to not get in her way as she creates a wonderful life for herself. I am so proud of Claire, her presence, her beautiful poise and grace while engaging in the world. This, joined with the strength and conviction I've already shared with you, is an amazing combination. I would like to finish with a quote from Dr. Seuss. "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." Dr. Seuss.
Salutations. My name is Coleman Henner, and I am currently a sophomore here. I have been directed to inform you that speaking for graduate Hollis Park is fellow Trillium senior Elijah Masters.
What's poppin'? I gotta get my phone real quick, hold on. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so if you had asked Hollis whether he was going to graduate a month or two ago, right, he probably would have said no. And if you had asked anyone else whether he was going to graduate, they probably would have said, "I have no idea." And of course, a good portion of that was a joke, but I can't imagine that I'm the only one who was a little worried about whether he would be walking with this class today. But he is. And you could probably attribute a lot of his success to an incredibly unique school that, for all its flaws, is the only place where you could have meta staff as dedicated to each individual student as they were, or a system that allowed you to correct mistakes that you made years ago and thought you'd have to live with for the rest of high school. But honestly, as much as Hollis would like to deny it, I think it's his hard work, his big brain, and his dedication that pushed him the rest of the way. And when Hollis let someone else decide that I was going to be speaking for him today, I knew that I'd have to remind him of that. And it's weird because for as long as me and Hollis have been friends, not a lot of people could tell you why we're friends. For one, anyone that knows us knows that we argue a lot. Whether it be about French fries and ice cream, the physics of Lord of the Rings, what Daft Punk album is the best one, it's Discovery. We're usually always screaming across the halls at each other. We don't have a lot of similar interests either. I love politics and horror movies, two things Hollis either knows nothing about or actively avoids. And to make matters worse, I'm a pretty obsessive person about these things. Most people like music, but I love music way more than any healthy person should. Way more than Hollis does, at least. But luckily, that's hardly been a problem now. But it used to be. I started going to Trillium halfway into my sophomore year, and I was surprised by how welcoming the community was, and after my first week, it felt like I had been there for like a whole year. But Hollis wasn't someone I would be friends with for a while. Sure, we talked as much as you'd expect a school with like 5.2 students would talk, but he was always really, really quiet. I picked up on a few things from other students and other people. He was apparently really nice. He had been going to Trillium for longer than anyone else in our grade. He liked video games, which made me think he was a loser. And most of all, everyone said that he liked birds. He really liked birds, they said. And the most experience I had with birds at the time was when one laid waste to my new black shirt when I was a kid, so I kind of steered clear. But one day, when we were on a field trip, I saw him sitting on a park bench with his friend, and I figured it'd be worth getting to know him a little better. I sat down, and after a while of we don't talk a lot awkwardness, we started talking for real. I brought up video games, which made him bring up Zelda, but I remember that he would start talking way more quiet when someone would walk by. And I said, "You don't need to do that. People aren't listening in on the conversation. They're too busy worrying about their own problems." And he guessed it was true, but we started joking about weird things we could say to people as they were passing by. And Hollis widened his eyes and suggested that he said, "I see you." However, a guy walked right by as he said that, and he definitely was not minding his own business. He stared at Hollis as he walked by, and as Hollis tried to explain himself, the guy turned around and started speed walking away. I almost fell on the floor laughing, but Hollis was super concerned about the whole thing. And after that, we just kind of started hanging out. And while I wouldn't learn more about Hollis's love for birds for a while, as well as his deep disdain for people only knowing him for that, I would quickly learn that there was more to Hollis than anyone could have told me. It was true that he was nice, but he was more of nice in like a very like he was your conscience. He tells me to sleep more, to eat more, don't do that, get down from there. For as much as we hang out, I'm definitely one of Hollis's biggest stressors. But that's only because he's always looking out for what's best for his friends and would do almost anything to make sure you're not going to eat some weird poisonous plant, which I now know most of the names of. And he did like video games, but I promised I wouldn't talk about that in the speech, so. But Hollis also has incredible comedic timing, by the way, and an iron will which has completely ruined my previously subdued image of him and has resulted in some of the aforementioned arguments that have defined my Trillium experience. Because he's not just iron-willed, he's obsessive, almost as obsessive as me. He doesn't just love birds, he loves birds. And he doesn't just love birds, he loves nature. I have never seen Hollis happier than when he dragged me out into the forest for his birthday. And even though I was complaining the whole time about like spider webs and like killer deer or something, I don't think I could ever convince Hollis today of how much fun I actually had on that trip. So maybe me and Hollis don't have a lot of similar interests, maybe we don't get along all the time, and we may drive each other absolutely insane. But I could never imagine my time at high school without that stereotypical friendships you might see in a movie that Hollis has definitely not heard of. And I definitely could not have stood up on the stage and spoken in front of everybody if he wasn't standing up here with me to make me look better. That's it.
Hello, my name is Greg Murphy. I'm the music and yearbook teacher and somehow the unofficial Trillium photographer. Speaking for graduate Nico Boscovich is his friend and former paraeducator, Stormy Lovett.
Come here, Nico. Hi, Nico.
Huh.
Okay. I'm Stormy, and I've known Nico for 4 years, and his mother's my best friend now. And I worked with him for 3 years, and he's like my nephew. So we've experienced so much together. It's really difficult to put it in a couple of minutes. So I just threw a few things about Nico down that if you don't know him, you should know. Ready? Okay. Do y'all know anybody who truly rocks? Like around the clock, year after year. I'm talking about the most patient and brave man I've ever met. Congratulations, Nico. We are all so proud of you, and I'm here introducing you, and I feel incredibly honored. You need to know we all have been truly blessed with the opportunity of going to school with you the past 4 years. I also want to give a shout out to his #1 fierce advocate, partner and angel, his mama, Loretta. She is truly badass and a superwoman. I was remembering the beginning of your freshman year, Nico. We had met a week or two before school started. I quickly got letterboard trained by you, and you dove into public school, and I dove into letterboarding. And I truly fell in love with you quickly, as many others have. I had no idea how meaningful our years would be, and I'm so thankful for them. This is the best job I ever had. To think, for the most part, you were homeschooled and officially got your voice about 4 years ago. Trillium kids and staff quickly accepted you for you. They too are fascinated with your brilliant brain, your tender heart, and your awesome humor. We all got to watch you really work on monitoring and regulating your quirks to somehow creatively fit a day of education in a school. The Trillium family and I were open to doing whatever it took for you to be successful, and obviously you are because you're here graduating. And Nico and I want to thank all of y'all for helping him throughout the 4 years to be the best that he can be. He really loves you guys so much. So here's a few things that you need to know about Nico that blew us away. His supersonic hearing. He knew everything that was going on around more than anybody will ever know because he's got the supersonic hearing. So if any of y'all, which we all did, would whisper secrets and talk about our personal stuff, Nico heard every bit of it. So he probably knows us all better than most people. His humor. He is so freaking funny. And you made us all crack up often, and it's very witty and clever humor. Another thing you need to know about Nico that's blown us away and that will continue to blow people away throughout his life is he is an amazing advocate and activist. You are fierce, fighting for the rights of the oppressed in person and in writing. You are an exceptional feminist. All of us are stronger advocates and activists knowing you. Nico, you're a good teacher and a good leader. Another thing that blows us away, and he's probably going to make a lot of money out of this in life, is his writing. Oh my God, Nico, you seriously rocked our worlds, whether it was a paper for social studies on genocide, a book report, and oh my God, when we got to the poetry part of an English class, many times he made the class ooh and ah with his poetry. You ooze romance, tenderness, clarity, and love. Your curiosity and passion. Very quickly, once I got good on the letterboard, Nico told me he wants to experience everything possible in life. Going places, taking risks, tasting everything, hiking, exploring. This man loves life and does not take it for granted. He is always up for trying something new. He is fearless in so many ways. And one huge thing about Nico, Job's got nothing on Nico when it comes to patience and tolerance. He is so patient teaching others to letterboard, waiting in line, waiting to get each letter and word and sentence said. With those who don't get you, Nico, with those who choose not to take the time to get you, you are so tolerant of assholes, ridiculous rules, your sister, adults in your life and your friends, the friends that come and go, and that don't give you enough of the time you deserve. You were so patient and tolerant, Nico, and you were so patient with me. Many of you at Trillium learned to letterboard with Nico. It isn't easy at first, but there's so much to Nico if you letterboard with him. It's the best way to connect with him. Letterboarding, hey. Letterboarding is the bridge to going deep with this man. Nico has been there with me through so much over these years and has loved me no matter what. I encourage you all to think about Nico when you're in the voting booths. This is very important to him. I encourage some of you to continue to connect with Nico, letterboarding with Nico, because you will benefit from growing up and growing old with him, just like I have. Congratulations, Nico, on your graduation. Here you go, Nico. Woo-hoo!
Hi, my name is Minna. I teach 4th and 5th grade at Trillium. Speaking for Murphy is Laurel Grimes.
Murph. Okay. You should be. Murphy and I did not always have a perfect relationship. The first thing I learned about him was that he swallowed the class fish. I'm going to talk about that part too. His junior year, I consistently spent half of my day figuring out where he was hiding in the building when he should have been in internship. Inevitably, I would find him in the garden, tell him to put his shirt back on, and to, for the love of God, do work of some kind. This year, I became his advisor, and that went about as expected at first. The first few months, Murphy wanted to never be there. Everything was not how Christina did it. What I came to realize, though, is that Murphy cares deeply about his relationships and traditions. A student proposed that our usual note-taker role in advising be eliminated because we never use the notes. This is true. I used to keep them in a binder, and now I recycle them. Murphy was the one voice who expressed adamant opposition to that idea because our school had lost so much already, and he wanted us to hold on to every little thing we could, regardless of how pointless it may be. I immediately rescinded my let's ditch the note-taker stance to side with Murphy because it was clear in that moment that he cares more than he lets on. He is unexpectedly sensitive, particularly around matters of time. Calendars make him cry. No. He hides behind the curtain or leaves the room entirely when I reference the end of anything significant. By the way, it's here. You're graduating right now.
Yes. Not crying.
You did leave. Murphy is earnest, but when things are serious or emotional, he expresses them through jokes. Most of our interactions these days are making fun of one another. But that's how you know Murphy likes you. I harass him about how high school is ending, and he harasses me about how I need to pack and move and start my new job. Yeah, 2 weeks, thanks, Murph. I'll be teaching high school again next year, and I have never told Murphy this, but he is the reason I wanted to be a high school teacher in the first place. When I was the lowly garden coordinator, and he was a sophomore, I overheard an argument he was having with a classmate about types of government. They were both loud and mostly wrong. But they were having fun, talking about stuff I never even considered as a teenager. And I just thought, damn, these kids are interesting. And it has been interesting. He thinks critically about every article I assign him. He is always first to participate in discussions. He helps move things. He is funny and fun to be around. I am honored to have been his teacher. He was this smart but chaotic kid who is growing into a really thoughtful and semi-mature adult. That was excellent timing. Thank you. And I don't have to hunt for him anymore. The other day, Murphy, who is not in my garden class, was skipping his class to visit mine. Murphy, who was weeding and noticed that Asher was not, looked at me and said, "Why aren't you making Asher do work?" I said, "Murphy, I didn't ask you to do work either. You just did it." To wrap this up before you go, I have 2 presents for you. The first one is Steve Irwin.
Hell yeah.
Steve, he was supposed to have a different name every advising period, but Steve stuck. So, yeah, I guess. Yes, buddies. So Steve is our talking piece. And I wanted to honor the fact that you are very attached to traditions and school and are a crucial part of our advising. But there's one more. A t-shirt. It's really long, so you can crop top it if you want. And on the back, it says, "Laurel made me wear this."
Hiya, I'm Grace Masters. I'm a junior. I'm introducing Ava to speak for Elijah John Masters. Oh my God, there is just a lot to say about him. In fact, I will be helping with that so we can get as much as we can. So I'm introducing myself as well. Hi, I'm Grace Masters. I am a junior, and I am introducing Grace to speak for Elijah John Masters. Surprise! Elijah John is a silly dude. He just does some really dumb decisions for the chance that someone can laugh. For example, when he was in 5th grade, he sat in an infant swing set at the park and got stuck in that baby swing set for a little too long. And when we mentioned calling the fire department, out of fear, he immediately pulled himself out. I'm sure we have all of our own, "Oh my God, Elijah, what are you doing?" moments. He is just a magnet of humor. He thrives of doing these things for others. And some of you have thought in your head, why does he do this while this happens? Well, he does these things because he is himself. He is authentic and does what he would want to see and laugh at. He loves it. Eats fast so he can feel full because he loves the feeling. He loves challenging his own point of view, and when criticizing media, he loves and he loves and he loves. And that's what's so appealing about him, his love and passion for things in life. He's assertive about what he loves and believes in, and he knows what he wants. I hope some of that love and assertiveness rubs a little bit off on me. And it kind of has. Oh, and it did right now. Wow. His constant questioning keeps me up to date on my ideals and makes me stand up for my opinions more. And his fantastic pancakes leave me full and content. I am leagues away from his level of letting go and enjoying myself, however. I'd need backup. Before that, though, I just want to say, I'm proud of you, Elijah. I'm so proud of you. You're going to be amazing. At what, you may be asking? Everything. And I have no doubt in my mind about it. I also have no doubt that Ava will have some more things to say about that. And this silly, silly little man. Take it away, Ava.
I know you hate it. I told you would. Okay. Okay. Hi, Elijah. I hope you like that little surprise speech that we threw out there. It was both of our ideas. What a tough act to follow, and what a hard task to close this part of the event by speaking for Elijah Masters, a student that has been so essential to our advising, our ELL program, our Trillium community at large, and of course, for me as his teacher and mentor. One of the first memories I have of Elijah is, unsurprisingly, about movies. We kind of rehearsed this moment. Do you remember the first movie we talked about?
It's called Ed Wood. I think it came out in 1994.
True. That's right. It's true. No, it's true. I said true, not true. Trying to gauge what kind of movie fan Elijah might be, I asked him if he had ever seen, did this turn off? No. Oh, okay. If he had ever seen Ed Wood. He hadn't. I thought it would be a safe bet to ask him about Tim Burton, a director everyone knew about, before I started bringing up Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, or Lucrecia Martel. I know I can be intense about movies sometimes, and I really didn't want to scare my new student out. When he admitted he had not seen it, I didn't really think much about it. I told him it was a good movie, and we left it at that. The next day, Elijah came to my classroom first thing in the morning to tell me he had gone home that night and watched Ed Wood, not once, but multiple times. He managed to give me a full-length review of every aspect of the movie with a promise that he would watch it again in the next few days just to make sure he still agreed with himself. Now that's when I knew I was dealing with something else. From this point on, we would exchange opinions about films and music for the next 3 years, and it really never stopped. Just this last week, we've talked about Brazilian music, Jimi Hendrix, and Brazilian music combined. There's a link. Alien, Birdman, what else? More things? Modest Mouse, many things. Bjork. It's been 3 years, Elijah, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that I have learned something new every single day. Whether it's the announcement of the latest Rosalia album, or a thoughtful review of the latest film he has seen, or the contending theories of revolution, or my personal favorite, the mathematical equation that logically explains the godlike status of Beyoncé. which he did. He drew on the board. He spent his math period, he came to my classroom to draw the equation that shows us why Beyonce is actually God. And I believe it. Elijah always likes to share all the passions that keep him up at night, deconstructing every detail. In fact, I'd argue that Elijah does not like things. What Elijah has seems more like a need, an obsession. He needs to be sharing with anyone who would listen why Black Star is the best David Bowie album, or why Fight Club is an overrated movie meant to impress mediocre teenage boys. This is, of course, one of my favorite traits about Elijah, and I know I'm not alone in this. When he applies this kind of passion to school, it turns into a senior project presentation that at first lasted a whole of 2 hours because of all what he had to say. When it's applied to his passion in music and movies, he will write lengthy reviews and make top 10 lists of his favorites ever. On the frustrating end, sometimes he will prioritize watching the 1979 film Alien 5 times in one sitting, or make yet another list of his top 10 albums of 1969 and 97 over finishing a paper for Annalie's class. Of course, this can make his teachers and parents worry when deadlines are near. But the truth is, we all have nothing but admiration for you, Elijah. Even though it's not clear if your future career will be in music, in film, education, social work, list making, or math, we know you are going to live your life passionately and honestly. And that's, at least in my book, really the most important thing. I can't wait to see what your next steps look like. My highest hope for you is that you will be patient with yourself and that you will surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are and who will know to recognize and elevate your strengths. My highest hope for me is that I still get to see through this journey of yours and to continue to serve as a mentor for as long as you need me or want me to. Know that you already have a big fan. And whether it's in New York, hopefully, Seattle, LA, or Boston, I look forward to the amazing things you're going to create, discover, and share with those who will listen. Thank you so much for this very exciting 3 years. Please know we're all here rooting for you, all of us. I just wish you all the luck. Muy buena suerte. Thank you.
Hello. It's me again. I'm back, and for, I think, the final part, yeah, the closing, it's a little song with me and Jeff that we practiced a little bit before, a little performance. Thank you all for coming. And can I have a big round of applause for all the lovely teachers who made this happen? I'm not ready. So I was walking in to my new college class here at PCC, and my teacher said to me, "You're 20 minutes late." And I said, "I know."
it usually happens. And the teacher said to me, "Where did you pick up on this habit?" And I said, and the teacher said to me, "Oh, Trillium, I've heard of that place. Didn't it close?" And I said, "Yep." And he asked me, "Well, what was it like there?" And I said, "Well,
T is for the tasty treats, cooked up in Preston's kitchen. They're local, they're fresh, they're most of the delish, they blow out the competition. Our restorative justice, say, what is that? It's fostering connections and making conversation, seeing value in a chat. T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M. That's for internship. If you're a junior, you gotta have one. You gotta write resumes and get out in the world, see that work can really be fun. L is for the leadership. You see when you look around, students making decisions and making things happen. Their ambition knows no bounds. T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M. T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M. There are two L's in the word Trillium, and the second's for the lower school. From pre-K to 5th grade, it's full of teachers making love and compassion cool. That's easy, that's inclusion. Make a difference? Come on down. It's not your gender, your color, or your abilities, but what's in your heart that really counts. T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M, T-R-I-double-L-I-U-M. Projects. How can one school be so rad? M for the NPR, good old multi-purpose room. It's for lunch, it's for meetings, it's for school dances, and seriously, if you didn't go to any of our school dances, they're amazing. They're so much better than any school dance you've ever been to.
And then the teacher said to me, "Well, what are you doing Class ended 20 minutes ago. Where is your shirt? Why are you on the table? Where did you get all the glitter? Everyone's gone. Are you even enrolled in this class? And I said, isn't this Latin American film studies? And he said, this is beginning to calculus. And I said, all right, I forgot. This is Portland. I'm sorry for wasting your time. Thank you. And so I picked up my shirt, I got off the table, I picked up my glitter, and I went home.
All right, this is it, guys. Seniors, please rise. Please move your tassels from the right to the left. I present to you all Trillium Charter School's final graduates, the class of 2019.